What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brian, and we had a shocking free agent show up on NXT last night, as well as a few AEW superstars are set to return soon to the company. All that and more in this episode, so let's get into it. Starting off with the shocking free agent, that is none other than Ricky Starks. He showed up on NXT last night, right before the main event. He announced that NXT is preparing for the future and they need the absolute future of wrestling, which is Ricky Starks. And honestly, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Ricky Starks in NXT. The last time we saw Ricky Starks was last year. I believe he was feuding with Adam Copeland at the time. Big Bill was his tag team partner. The whole Vanilla Midget Rock Wannabe promo, that's around the time where this happened. That's kind of like the last time we saw Ricky Starks. He's been off and on in the indies since that date. But he is now NXT bound. The fans were chanting Ricky Starks, Ricky Starks. He said, "It seems like you guys know who I am." But the thing that was very interesting to me is that he did not say his name. He did not say who he was. He did not say anything. He just said he was here for NXT. So I don't know if coming forward his name will be Ricky Starks. Or I mean, we know there's a list of 12 names. I'll put them on the screen right now. There's a list of 12 names that WWE just trademarked. People are saying his name's gonna be Trill London, which would be a terrible name, honestly. But I mean, we saw how Eli Drake went from Eli Drake to LA Knight to Max Dupree back to LA Knight. So, I mean, his name could be Trill London. Honestly, it would be a terrible name unless they pair him up with Trick Williams, and it'd be Trick Williams and Trill London, Trick and Trill. I don't know. I don't think that would be his name. I hope he just goes by Ricky Starks. But as of right now, I mean, if you take a look at the names on this piece of paper here, one of the names is Aria Bennett, which we know Maria Kanellis' real name now is Maria Bennett. So they just dropped the M and it's Aria Bennett. So maybe she's coming back to the company as well as Aria Bennett. I doubt it because she's been known as Maria Kanellis all the time in WWE. But at this point, they're just it seems like there's an AI generator for names right now. But hopefully he just goes by Ricky Starks. I mean, Trill London. I mean, this list of names right here is pretty bad. But either way, we'll see what happens when he does show up next week. Hopefully we get to find out his name. He kind of came out like Razor Ramon or Scott Hall in WCW the first time, saying, "You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." And he never mentions his name for a couple weeks. Hopefully we get to find out what his name is going to be going forward in the WWE. Hopefully it's still Ricky Starks. But now we go over to AEW, where, and if you pay attention first of all to New Japan Pro Wrestling, then you are well aware that the Young Bucks lost the tag team titles technically late last night. So they are now preparing to be on their way to AEW. The Young Bucks, they won the tag team titles at Wrestle Dynasty at the beginning of the year. It was their first match back in New Japan. And then they dropped the titles at New Beginnings, which was technically late last night when we were sleeping. Technically it was today. I don't know the whole Japan timeline, but it is what it is. They dropped the title this morning when I woke up, the titles were dropped. So they are no longer New Japan Wrestling Tag Team Champions. They're headed to AEW, and they were actually questioned about their plans following this loss. And I'll put the quote up here for you, and just some things that kind of took me not by surprise, but I did find quite interesting on this quote was the part that they say that they never thought they would be heading back to Japan. And I thought that was really weird because honestly, I expected them to go back to Japan. I mean, I expected all of them to go to Japan. Kenny Omega obviously was there. I mean, I expected them to go back. They have a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think it was just a matter of time for them to show back up. But the thing that I did find kind of interesting is that at the end, they say that this is hopefully a see you later and not a goodbye. So it seems like maybe they don't have their plans set up a New Japan showing up anytime soon for Wrestle Dynasty or anything of that matter, right? Or Wrestle Kingdom. It seems like the Young Bucks are kind of putting the stop on showing up on New Japan Pro Wrestling. And this is something I kind of figured and rumored would happen because in Japan, all the organizations in Japan, the wrestling organizations, they all formed like a corporation, a group partnership to kind of improve the wrestling in the country of Japan, and focus on Japanese wrestlers and their own talent. It seems like they're kind of focusing less on bringing in talent from other companies, and if they do share talent, it's going to be with other Japanese companies being New Japan Pro Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Noah. There's a couple different companies in Japan that kind of had this handshake agreement to focus on wrestling in Japan. So we'll see what happens with the Young Bucks. I don't think they're going to show up anytime soon. Maybe up until next year if they do go back to Wrestle Kingdom. But for AEW, it's kind of like a very difficult situation because I don't know where they quite fit in AEW right now. I mean, right now you have the Hurt Syndicate just running rampant in the tag team division. You have the Guns. You have a bunch of other tag teams, that the Outrunners, that have just kind of shown up and done a big thing here in AEW. And I don't want them to quite get their spots taken or be pushed back to push the Young Bucks back up to challenge the Hurt Syndicate. So this is a very interesting position for the Young Bucks because honestly, AEW doesn't need them anymore. They have a lot more tag teams built up. It's not as thin as it was previously, and there's a lot, in my opinion, bigger names in the tag team division now than that they were at the beginning. So I'm not quite sure where this is all going to come up. I mean, maybe the Elite comes together, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, maybe Hangman Adam Page, they come back to defeat the Death Riders. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I don't think that would be something that intrigues me because the Elite just tried taking over the company a couple months before, like a month or two right before the Death Riders did. So now they take over the company, Death Riders take over the company, and now they're coming back to take over the company to save AEW. It's kind of weird to me. I'm not a fan of that story, but if that's the story we're getting, then I could see why AEW is in the status that they are. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. Catch our live stream of AEW Dynamite today, right after Dynamite.